Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for continue to wear makeup and dress in my normal style around a friend who thinks her husband has a crush on me? My 29F friend, 31F, has told me that her husband, 35M, has a crush on me and has recently told her that he fantasizes over me. This already makes me feel very awkward, but now she has asked if I can stop wearing makeup and wear baggy clothes around him. We went out for dinner last night at a reasonably expensive restaurant with a few others, 7 of us in total, and she texted me when I got home saying she was angry at me for looking hot after she asked me to not wear makeup. She's my friend and I want to do the right thing, but there's nothing I could wear that is baggy that would have suited the restaurant we were in, Michelin star. My style is very conservative and I was wearing a very average dress with heels. I've written out several responses ranging from an apology to being quite rude, but wanted to sense check my thoughts here before I go back to her. I don't want to make life difficult for her, but what she's asking for feels unreasonable. Am I the a-hole? Edit 1. Thank you so much for all of your responses. It's 4:21 a.m. here in the UK, so I will write out and send a response tomorrow and will update you all on here. Sorry, I can't respond to everyone. I didn't expect so many responses. Edit 2. While I was reading your responses, he just liked an old Instagram pic from way back, bikini pic. He is now blocked. Edit 3. I responded with the following. Sorry it's taken me a while to reply, but I wanted to consider this properly and not react emotively. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't think it's fair or reasonable to ask me to change how I look because of your husband. My advice is to speak to husband's name and work on your relationship, because projecting your issues onto me isn't going to help you, but it will damage our friendship. You have nothing to be insecure about. You're the most beautiful person inside and out I've ever met. I'm here for you if you want to talk through it, but ultimately I can't help it if I'm smoking hot, just kidding. 5 minutes after I pressed send she knocked on my door. She was already on her way, with a bunch of flowers, and cried and gave me a hug while apologizing. She told me they were having problems and it was wrong of her to take it out on me. We've had a long chat and I'm going to be there to support my friend. Thank you all for your input, you all helped so much. Top comments. Not sure why this is marked NSFW. Anyway, total not the a-hole. For one thing, I don't think it's possible to dress appropriately for a nice restaurant without looking hot to someone who already finds you attractive. And more generally, as long as you're not hitting on the husband, or intentionally dressing provocatively to catch his attention, which it sounds like you're not, then this is a her problem, not a you problem. Here's another point. Why on earth did she tell you that her husband has the hots for you? Completely inappropriate. This is something to be handled within the marriage. OP replies. Thank you for your response. Added the NSFW because of the fantasy bit, but then chose not to elaborate on that part, so I've removed it now. I'm not sure why she told me either. The first time she said it was cute, that he had a crush on me, then she started getting a bit more detailed about it. Not the a-hole. If she thinks it's okay to ask a friend to wear baggy clothing to dinner out with a group, she should feel more than comfortable telling her husband not to look. In fact, with her absolute audacity, she could tell him to wear a blindfold. It feels unreasonable because it is. Even telling you about this was gross. Asking you to manage it for her, at your own expense, is worse. In fact, how about she leave her man at home, since apparently he can't stop himself from being creepy about her friends. Or she's the one being creepy, either way it's not yours to manage. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad to look into a mirror and stop blaming mom for me not calling my stepmom mom anymore? My parents divorced when I, 17M, was a baby, and my dad remarried when I was 5. When I was 7 I started to call my stepmom mom a little, and that's what felt natural to me. They didn't ask me to do it. After I had said it several times, my dad gave my mom a heads up about it. I heard him tell my stepmom about it when we got home. I was in the office doing homework at the time. Dad and my stepmom started trash talking mom. Dad said mom looked so hurt and offended. Then he and my stepmom said how crappy it was that she couldn't be happy for me, and dad called my mom a big baby. My stepmom said she hoped my mom didn't stop me from calling her mom too. She also said it was sad that my mom was so selfish and put herself before me. All this because my mom looked hurt. Not even because she said something. Because she looked hurt. I never called my stepmom again. I didn't want to hurt mom, and I didn't feel like my dad and stepmom deserved for me to keep calling my stepmom mom too when they were trash talking my mom so much. It was noticed. Dad would call my stepmom my mom in conversation sometimes as a test. Like, go ask your mom, or did you find your mom? And I would always say, I asked Mayor, or I found Marie. I also told people I only had one mom and one dad, and I had a stepmom when asked or if it came up. I'd do even if my dad or stepmom could hear, and it bothered them so much. Then one of my half-siblings started calling my mom mom, and my dad and stepmom quickly and actually pretty harshly shut that down. When it happened randomly at times for a couple of years, it resulted in a bit of a freakout. Which I found funny given mom couldn't even look hurt without being all kinds of terrible things in their opinion. Now that I'm in my senior year of high school and almost 18, my dad has been more bothered by the fact I just, to them, randomly stopped calling my stepmom mom. And he brought it up to me with my stepmom in the room a few days ago. He told me I shouldn't let my mom influence my decision on who gets called mom and dad. He told me it seemed so sad that my stepmom was mom for a while and then I just used her name. He told me if mom really loved me, she'd be happy for me. I told him it wasn't mom, that I heard everything the two of them said, that it made me reevaluate whether my stepmom deserved to be called mom anymore, and I decided no a-hole here, because they disrespected mom. Then I was like, so go look in a mirror and stop blaming mom when she never even said anything to him and they trash-talked her for how she looked. Dad accused me of lying and said even if it is true, I was crappy for holding that against them so much and blaming him as harshly when they just wanted me to be able to love everyone. He said I was too willing to assign all the blame to him/them. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Honestly, I think you did the right thing. It's not cool for your dad and stepmom to trash talk your mom and then expect you to act like everything's fine. You were just being honest about how their words affected you. It sounds like your dad needs to take a step back and think about how his actions impact you. You're not being unreasonable for wanting to show respect to your mom. Not the a-hole. Trash talking isn't much of an indicator for seeking universal love. Their behavior is the proof that their words mean nothing. Continue thinking for yourself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I won't let her turn me into my half-sister's dad because she's a cheater? My dad left my mom when I, 15 was 10 because my mom cheated and dad found out my half-sister, who was 2 months old at the time, wasn't his. He did a DNA test to check, by the way. My parents fought a lot about dad leaving, and when he was doing divorce stuff he asked to be taken off my half-sister's birth certificate, and they fought in court about my dad wanting to sever ties with my half-sister. Mom wanted him to take care of both of us. He only wanted me. Dad won. My parents have 50-50 custody of me. My mom doesn't know who my half-sister's dad is. I heard her admit she cheated a lot and had one-night stands with guys she didn't even know the name of. It broke my dad because I had another sister who was stillborn when I was like 6, and dad questions whether she was his or whether he grieves for another man's kid. I heard them argue about this stuff at the time. I'd rather live with my dad. I hate my mom for destroying our family. I hate her for having a kid with someone else. But I also hate her because she tries to get me to make up for my half-sister not having a dad. She's always asking me to take more of an interest in my half-sister and to not say half and to be the male role model she needs. She also told me I could talk to dad about how unfair it is that he loved her for 2 months and then abandoned her and that he was wrong. She told me he did a DNA test on me, so maybe he would have left me too, and didn't I think that would be wrong after 10 years, so why isn't it wrong that he did it to my half-sister? Before I left for my dad's house, mom and I got into a fight and I told her I won't let her turn me into my half-sister's dad because she's a cheater. Mom yelled at me and she sent me dozens of texts since Friday night demanding I apologize and do better and saying I'm taking marriage issues out on her and my half-sister. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. But tell this all to your dad. Maybe he can use it in court to get full custody for you. Also, I don't know the rules in your home country, but in some you are allowed to choose with which parent you want to live after turning 14. Opie replies. I live in a state where judges do not have to take what the kid wants into account at any age. They might, but it's very rare. I looked it up online and my dad asked his lawyer about it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that I don't care that my dad changed his mind? I'm 18 NB, my sister is 27F, and my dad is in his 50s. I'm also a parent to twin 18-month-olds, which is relevant to this story. During the majority of this story, my sister was living her own life in another state. She and I talk about once a month. I got pregnant beginning of junior year, and when my parents found out, they made it clear that abortion and adoption were not options, and also that I was now scum of the earth. My mom completely stopped talking to me. She would leave the room. My dad didn't stop talking to me, but he refused spending time with me at all costs. I got a job because they stopped giving me anything except shelter. I took a bus to the hospital when I was in labor at 27 weeks because they refused to take me and I can't afford the ambulance. In all the weeks that my twins were in the NICU, they didn't ask about them or help. When they got out, I got yelled at if they disturbed their sleep. I got yelled at if a pacifier dared to be in the main area. Life kept on. Thankfully, my friend's mom was willing to watch them while I was at school and work. That was a lifesaver. On my 18th birthday, my parents came to my room and kicked me out. Dad's specific words were, "Get your sinning butt and those crap brats out of my damn house by the end of the day." Thankfully, my friend's mom came to the rescue again. This morning I got a call from her saying that Dad had a minor heart attack and has now said that he regrets kicking me out and not being a part of his grandchildren's life. I told her that he made his choice and can now deal with it. Top comments. Not the a-hole. But you could use all the help you can get. I would talk to your friend's mom. She's currently supporting you and would make a good confidant about regarding this. Has she made any indications that this arrangement is temporary? At the end of the day, it is your choice. Opie replies. She said I could stay here for as long as I need to, although I am thinking about moving out later this year. I want to be at my job long enough for insurance to kick in, and I'm taking advantage of this and saving what I can before making the move. Not the a-hole. He treated you and your children like crap for around a little over a year. That's not something he can just take back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my little sister's best friend that my brother stole her college fund? I, 30M, found out my younger brother, Tom, 28M, stole $5,000 from my little sister's, 18F, best friend, Emma, 18F. Tom and Emma's families have always been close, and Emma practically grew up with us. My mom asked Tom to help Emma manage her money for college because she trusted him with it. He works in finance. Tom recently confessed to me that he borrowed $5,000 from Emma's college fund and blew it on gambling. He said he planned to replace it before anyone noticed, but he lost everything. He begged me not to tell anyone, saying he's going through a rough patch and just needs time to make it right. Emma's family doesn't have a lot of money, and she worked super hard to save for school. Knowing this, I felt sick. I didn't want to betray my brother, but Emma's future is on the line. So, I told Emma the truth. She was devastated and confronted Tom, who denied everything at first, but eventually broke down and admitted it. Now, my family's furious with me for ruining Tom's life and says I should have given him a chance to fix it. Tom won't speak to me. Am I the a-hole for telling Emma? Edit. Just to clarify, my brother and I are quite close, but, due to some past events, not so close to our parents. They didn't know about my brother hobby. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents should be concerned with your brother's gambling problem. How much of his own finances has Tom lost? I'm afraid of the hole he may have dug himself into. You may have wanted to tell your own family first, though. Opie replies. That's what I blame myself for right now. Maybe I should have tried to talk with our parents first without involving Emma. This isn't the first time Tom has lost some not negligible money to gambling though. Info, was there a reason that he confessed to you? Was he hoping that you'd bail him out and give him the $5,000? Or was he just hoping that you'd give him reassurance that he isn't a bad person? Opie replies. Tom and I have always been close, given the low age difference. I was aware of his little gambling issue. It's not the first time he lost quite the money. The rest of the family isn't aware, obviously. I think he was trying to cope with the guilt. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my father that it was his fault he missed my son's first birthday party? My son turned 1 this past weekend. On Sunday, my husband and I threw a birthday party for him at a local kids venue. We confirmed the date with both the venue and our guests a few months ago. One of those guests was my father. Back when I informed him of the date, he told me he'd come. A few days before the party, he asked if there was any way for me to reschedule it. I said no, as we'd already confirmed everything with the venue. My father then told me he'd be late to the party because there was an event at his girlfriend's church on the same day, and she wanted him to attend. I should say that my immediate family, including my father, is technically Catholic, but none of us practice it. However, my father's girlfriend is very religious. Like, Jesus as her phone wallpaper religious. Since they started dating, a little over a year ago, my father has been attending church with her on a semi-regular basis. He has explicitly told me he doesn't like it, but does it to make her happy. I told my father I was fine with him being late, as long as he came to the party at some point. He said he'd show up as soon as the church event was done. A few hours before the party ended, my father texted me the event was still going, and he thought it would be in poor taste for him to leave early, so he probably wouldn't be able to come. I didn't hear from him again that day. On Monday, my father called me to explain that the event went on for longer than he expected. He didn't apologize, but asked if I was angry at him, and I said yes. He said he had no way of knowing the event would last as long as it did, but that's not what I'm upset about. I told him he still chose to prioritize an event he didn't even want to attend over his grandson's first birthday party, made several other choices that led him to completely miss the latter, and didn't inform me about any of that until the last minute. All of those decisions were his, so the fact he ultimately didn't come to the party was his fault. My father is still refusing to apologize, and insists I have no right to be angry over something he had no control over. I'm starting to feel odd about this. My husband is on my side, but my sister told me I'm being dramatic. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. He made his choice, asked if you were upset, was told, yes, you were, to which he said, well, actually I was expecting you to placate my feelings about missing the party and prioritizing my girlfriend, who is an adult, over my grandson. Don't. You seriously do not need to soothe his feelings. Say to him clearly once more, I'm upset you chose to miss the party. Why you missed it is beside the point. It's not like you were in the ER with a ruptured spleen after a massive car wreck. You were with your girlfriend. Period. He doesn't get a free pass on your feelings just because he values his own comfort over yours. Opie replies. During that first phone call, it did kind of feel like he thought he was a victim. As if missing his grandson's birthday party was something that had happened to him, not something his own decisions had led to. Not the a-hole. Your father is an adult, and he made a choice to attend a different event. He asked if you were upset, and you answered him honestly. He chose his girlfriend over his grandchild. It's understandable to be disappointed in him and upset that he made the choices he's made. It's very possible he'll do this again in the future. I do think hanging on to your anger only eats away at you, though. Doesn't seem to be bothering him all that much. Make peace with the fact that he's going to choose the girlfriend. Adulting sucks sometimes. Opie replies. I don't plan on hanging on to my anger or anything, but I'm definitely still upset. My father has an odd work schedule, so this isn't the first important event he misses, but it's the first he chose to miss. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.